Welcome to Colney Talk Podcast.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to another exciting episode of Colney Talk Podcast, your bite-sized breakdown show. I'm your host Alex. First-time listeners, glad to have you here. And to my returning guests, thank you for sticking with me. As always, I talk a bit about the Arsenal match and pick out my top 3 players who shined and one player not good enough I get to call out. Well, folks, here we are again. Another trip to Old Trafford. A 1-1 draw against this United side, languishing in 14th place. It's a result that doesn't strike me with much sour emotions, if I'm being honest. We all know the obvious situation for Arsenal, so rather than me sounding like a broken record, how about I discuss the interesting parts of the game and skip the boring parts, because it's only going to seem like that's the reason. It would sound like an excuse, or that's the next statement coming out of the situation that we're dealing with. So let's just jump right into the game. First half, Arsenal began with the expected confidence with a couple of brilliant starts and of combination plays to quiet the home crowd. I mean, it almost felt like we were playing a team that was lacking in confidence. So for us, with the kinds of challenge that we were dealing with, it was a very strange game. You know, one team fighting for survival and Arsenal finding a way to show that we can provide answers and we can surprise teams in so many ways. So, I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out, but it was an interesting game. Arsenal's setup was quite intriguing because the setup was more of a, positional tweaks as far as how the movements of players, Rice, Ødegaard, Timber would shift, and then Calafiori as well. I mean, there's always that fluid motion for Arsenal players, but this seemed kind of different because, one, the way we were going to play United was quite different, and two, United sat deep. They had to stay low block, mid block, and attack us on the counter, and we had to manage the game in ways to address any counterattacks, recycle the ball, and make sure that we maintained enough to absorb any press coming from the middle. And it really worked because for the first 10 minutes, they were flying. Arsenal were playing with fluidity. United sat deep, used the counterattack as the answer. As soon as we lost possession a few times, we were able to get right back into the flow of things. That was very enjoyable to watch. At least we were looking to find some answer with a few early chances. And, it showed itself as an effective way that we were going to handle United. And equally United as well, they showed that this counterattack plan was how they were going to go, because Garnacho and Xerxes were their outlets to get forward, and that was going to put a lot of pressure on Saliba and Big Gabby, splitting them down the middle. So as you know, we kept playing through the motions with the flow, getting us forward and managing how we were going to break through once we got to the defensive third. When Arsenal always found themselves close to or in around the box, there was that pause or stagnation or difficulty. And it is difficult for any team that would play this mid-block situation because it was quite compact. There were no spaces. So Arsenal, in some instances, would have to retreat to create some more gaps for the players to play through and get those, lanes opened up again. And that was a very, straightforward way to find those answers. And we kept doing it. Arsenal were playing with a sense of swiftness and mastery with passes. That's really part of what I liked about the game. And that kept them on a rhythm that was quite high. We've seen this in games before, but this felt a little bit different in terms of how the team were changing positions and still keeping the rhythm flowing, especially on the right. You'd have Martinelli, Timber, Ethan Waneri, and Party coming in to make sure that we didn't get broken down and got our game plan out of place. So that high flow was really good, even got us close to the edge of the box, and that's where we suffered as far as stagnation was concerned. I really would have liked for us to continue with that free flowing when we got right into the edge of the box and made a few of those attempts. That happened in the first few minutes, but it kind of stopped. Again, United had to play defensive play as well. So, we kept doing our thing. Ødegaard's feet was just too good for them. I mean, the captain was the metronome. He carved up United in different ways, especially in the midfield. And any attempt for them to press and get the ball away from him, which did a few times, really didn't go as far as it would have. But that was much later in the game. I think Man U knew they could not attempt fate to open themselves up and try to counter in different pockets. They all had to move in as a unit with that low block formation, because we were able to attract them forward and open up spaces in between two layers to get through, but then they had to retreat and stay, very conservative. The link up between Ødegaard, Rice, and Partey was so effective that it nullified any press that, Man United wanted to bring out, which was really good. Again, as I mentioned, Saliba and Big Gabby were on lockdown mode, ready to sniff out Garnacho and Xerxes anytime they found ball deliveries coming their way. A few of them happened earlier on, but nothing worthy of a mention because we knew they were on the assignment. Now, the couple of things I didn't like in the first half was a bit of that final stagnation. I don't think that's going to be anything out of the ordinary, but for all that, Arsenal's flow, their control, the way they were moving with the ball and the passes and dealing with the press, while I understand how difficult it is, that slowdown in the box kind of nullifies all the hard work to get to that point. And it felt like it was a mountain that we couldn't yet climb. And then on the other side, the free kick defending that gave United that lead, I mean, we could have set up much better. Everything leading up to that situation wasn't good at all. Arsenal's first half performance was impressive in terms of ball dominance and tactics to dictate United's game motion. I really enjoyed that part of the game. I think it felt like they were playing things out to find their entry points, which I think they kind of figured out. But I think more of the work had to be done within the box and getting those precision plays without hesitation, activated. The way Arsenal moved with the ball, it seemed like they were so short to score, and Man U had to be cautious. They really had to be, because their attempt to press from the middle wasn't effective. So they knew that anything for them to continue in that path was just going to open themselves more, which it did, but we were not able to capitalize that rightly enough to get our early score. I mean, unfortunately, Fernandes' free kick was the only thing worthy of a highlight from Man U that anyone would recall. So that was it for the first half. And then as soon as the second half started, everything really just came down to this one mention: Rice to the rescue. I mean, Arsenal played hard. They fought. They struggled to find ways, which I give them credit for. Arteta's tweaks were subtle but very significant, because Lewis Kelly replacing Calafiori added dynamism down that left end. To my surprise, Martinelli's introduction for sure injected that directness that we did not have. So, it was great. The changes reaped benefits. It was good to see Martinelli on the field. Replacing Ethan Waneri was a good call because we needed experience on the field. So Martinelli and Trossard on the field was something we definitely could not exercise. Arsenal were in overdrive in their attempt to respond to the deficit. Arsenal, they worked hard for it, as I said. In so many ways, you would see few players that just seemed like they were the ones pushing everything. And this was Rice and Ødegaard doing everything in their ways to find the ball to Trossard and Martinelli to get the other players involved. Now, the equalizer, that was a moment of pure relief. I mean, picking up a loose ball from Jurien Timber, that was a solo performance from him. Dribbling, holding that ball and within the box and laying it off for Rice to quickly unleash a strike that kissed the post and route to the goal. That was amazing. And I think that goal got Arsenal's engines up, because after that, we tried to do more, but I think it gave us energy in every other way, because now it was Raya's moment. He was not going to deny us. After the culpability of Fernandes' goal, Raya redeemed himself with huge double saves and a couple of other shot blocking moments, refusing United a chance to score again, have their home crowd, go home singing the 3 points, because he definitely denied Fernandes point blank, smothering that rebound and shots that came through. His 84th minute stop on Højlund, facilitated by Declan Rice's last-ditch tackle. Wow, oh wow. I mean, that was the reason why we're here. I'm here talking about the draw, but it's like they fought really hard to try to win, but this was fighting really hard to preserve that draw. Either way, big credit to Rice and David Raya especially. That was major. I mean, in every single word, it was major, because we had the chance to take the lead, run away with this game, but then we had like a couple of furies of errors and situations that made us look like we were just going to be down on our luck. Martinelli's spark, when he came on the field, it stretched Man United's defense. His 84th minute cutback for Ødegaard gave us that chance that I speak of to score and get the lead, but that shot was not meant to be. And there's going to be a lot of things we're talking about with Ødegaard, with amazing things that he does. Shots and attempts has to be something that he's going to put on his list when it's all said and done for the season. Our struggles, as far as our struggles go, United's compact shape gave us that fits, in turn giving United confidence to go forward, which is what we suffered in the later parts of the game. But luck and hard-fought efforts played on our side, because we did everything that we could to deny them any chance to win the game. We played several combinations to open things up, and when those chances came, we didn't take it very well. But I mean, you got to give credit to what we were set up for in terms of playing defensive discipline all through. Those lapse really would have hurt us, but thankfully we had someone to save us, and that was Raya. The second half really was when the match unfolded. Both teams would have come away with a win, mostly tilted towards United because of those chances they had than we did. But ultimately, we had to stand up and do our own thing to push us forward. So Raya's heroics, Raya's saves, salvaged a point for us, and that's enough for me to appreciate the store, which is why I'm not really upset, nor should I be, because there's a lot that has been riding on this team and for this game, the way that it really unfolded. That's the best way for me to at least assess it. Arsenal excelled in midfield for this game, and that allowed us to express ourselves in a lot more positive and creative ways. This wasn't about excuses. They played with the assurance that they were going to unlock Man U's defensive wall. We were marginally successful. I can tell Arteta made very interesting tweaks, and I applaud him for that, because this wasn't going to be about doing the same thing from previous games and just doing a bit of adjustment and thinking that that's going to work. No, this was something that needed a complete redo of how we were going to approach this game, and that helped us a lot in a lot of ways, so I can live with that. All right, up into my top 3 standout performers in this match. First player, Declan Rice. He managed to rescue Arsenal twice. First with his thunderous equalizer, that was what we needed, and then with a goal-saving tackle on Højlund. Boy, that's huge. I mean, usually when we know Saliba and Big Gabby doing this, we applaud them for their quality, which is for sure undoubtedly true. But for the way Rice made that game tackle and save, that's just phenomenal. His interception as well on Fernandes through ball in the 87 minutes as well was a masterclass in defensive anticipation. He was so good in many positions, playing up front, dropping down, sliding to the middle, and at times to the top right, just to restart the play, completing 92% of his passes. Rice played really well. Second player, Martin Ødegaard. As I said, his feet, his play was head above shoulders. He managed to dictate the tempo under intense pressing, notably evading Eriksen, Fernandes when they tried to get with him, try to trap him in some situations. And he was so smart enough to release the ball to Partey and Timber in a few situations. He was good combining with Ethan and Partey again, as I mentioned, when that pressing situation from the midfield to the right was growing, and staying ahead of the game, he found ways to reset and shift things from the left right back to him again. So that was good. His 76-minute pass to Martinelli, split-second decision of defensive plays and moments that would have given us that thumping finish and the win. But, that was a very tough one, but at least I can applaud that. Great game from the captain. Third and final player, David Raya. He deserves all the flowers when talking about this game. Point blank. That's it. There is nothing else that you would remember more so than the saves from David Raya. He managed to atone for his first half error with that jaw-dropping double saves in stoppage time, denying Fernandes. But there was just so many other things that kept us going, and that confidence that oozes from Raya, that's going to take us a long way. And he was so good claiming crosses under pressure, playing the games out right for us to keep going forward. That a lot of things to recognize him as a big time player. Now here are some stats that were associated with him in this game that will be hard to forget. 5 saves, 2 high claims, and a 94% pass accuracy. That's big time, because those saves typically are points that he has saved us, and usually those are often when we win the game. But taking a point from this, that's a lot of work from a goalkeeper. So, you can think of it as an argument that maybe we were defensively poor, but those were like very poor moments, really. And as I think back to it, there are no particular odd player for me to call out. Those were just very sporadic defensive lapse that would have gotten us cut out. And speaking of which, Marino, as much as we appreciate him different ways and what he's done so far, he's got to learn that those soft touches of fouls and rollovers and everything, it doesn't fly in this league. So he's got to cut it out and play his game. Until he hears a whistle, he cannot do those, I wouldn't call it dives, but those soft tackles and soft kicks. He can't do that in a defensive third, because some other refs wouldn't care, wouldn't look at it, and it's going to be like a very bad thing. So he's probably going to, I hope he learns from this and, improves his game defensively. So, a lot to take away from that. This draw is our reality, folks, but there's still more we can get from this team. So I want them to keep that hunger. I know they will keep that hunger. So many of these things that they're going through right now is going to help them further along. Like I said, mixed feelings, absolutely, but there's pride and resilience, and that's what they showed. Rice's leadership, Raya's redemption, Martinelli's spark, Ødegaard's drive. That's a given in several ways, but it's not to be underscored. But there's also an ease at the stagnation, and that's what they have to take in turn and find those answers for them to keep pushing. These are signs of a team fighting, not pointing fingers. So for a team fighting, the least we can do, the least I can do, is to continue to speak in a good light and support them. So the fight should be raw for them as it is, and it's every reason to continue fighting for our current position. All right, that will do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, if you enjoy this, like, subscribe, and share with your fellow gunners. Until next time.